Welcome to the Local Marketing Source Weekly Update, brought to you by localmarketingsource.com.
This week's Local Marketing Update is brought to you by Scott Gallagher. Scott is the co-founder of Local Marketing Source and has become the recognized expert in providing online marketing services to local businesses. Follow Scott on Twitter at ScottGallagher5 and on Facebook.com/ScottPGallagher.
Hey, well, good afternoon, everyone. Scott Gallagher here with Local Marketing Source, bringing your weekly local marketing industry update. Now, next week's LMS member call is going to be Wednesday, January 25th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Well, I hope everybody's had a good week and got going this year. We're a couple of weeks into the new year, and January is always an interesting time for business, and go over a couple of things. First off, I want to apologize. I'm feeling a little under the weather today. I think I'm getting some sort of cold or something of that nature, but definitely been sniffling and sneezing and, none of that fun stuff that goes on. But, hey, you got to deal with it, right? That's the way it works. All right, so this week we've got 4 different things to go over. First off, I want to talk a little bit about the Premium Agency Growth Group that's going to be launching in a couple of weeks with Local Marketing Source. And then Google is testing a new tool called a website builder, which I think is really cool. And I'll share some of the thoughts in regards to that and essentially what Google is really doing. Google's also testing a new look for what's called the local inventory ads in place of the local pack. There's going to be some implications for that. And, there really wasn't a lot else that had changed in the week, so I thought I'd create a post and have a discussion on how to build some links to your website without creating content, because it's not all about content, although content is very important. I actually want to share a story about a conversation I had yesterday with a client in regards to content. As a matter of fact, let's get into that story right now, and then I'll get into the Premium Agency Growth Group. And it's a relatively new client. The client's been with me for 4 months. So we're getting up to the 6-month mark. They were ranking number 5 and 6 when they started with us. And, we're deploying the 3 pillars of local SEO. They have a review system. The review system gets driven to their back-end system, not to Facebook or Google or Yelp. So there's problems there. In terms of, if you guys remember the 3 pillars, it's called CP for content, profiles, and reviews. So they've got a big old X on the R for reviews. Profiles we're acquiring, last month, look, we acquired 20 profiles. The month prior to that, we sourced 30. So we're a little heavy on the profiles. We had to be heavy. But C for content. We created a press release last month, and that press release was put into the local newspaper. It was a Christmas time, and it was a Salvation Army drive, and we also posted it on the blog. So we got some good exposure for that, but there really hasn't been a lot of other content in terms of articles. No videos have been created. And, just as a side note, that press release that we got into the newspaper, they had mentioned that they got a variety of new patients out of that. I forget what the number was, but I think it was somewhere between 6 and 12 new patients, possibly one being a family, if I recall. So that was kind of cool, Now, in terms of results, I told you what we haven't completed, and I'm going to tell you why. In terms of results, we're doing all right. After 4 months, they're sitting that spot anywhere from number 1 to 3 in their top keywords, which is great. They're in the game. And they are getting, I think they got 2 new patients this month from Google on a 3rd spot for just straight up dentist. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about content here is I kind of had to have a conversation with the client. We're going back 2 months. We created an article piece on teeth whitening. The dentist didn't agree with it. He's a very anal dentist, and sometimes you deal with these anal business owners and doctors. It's typically the doctors that are very anal. I get it, though. They want to be able to put their name on it, that it's going to be out there. but they have some real concerns that, don't sweat the small stuff. In other words, if we want to create between 2 and 4 content pieces a month, well, the client is now a month and a half behind in denying us the ability to do that, which is affecting our ability to get rankings. Fortunately, our results are within expectations. And what am I hearing? A big old beep on my phone here. So I am going to, I hate ignoring my son. And I will call him in 20 minutes. All right, so just wanted to share that I had to have a conversation with the client, and there he is again. Now, when I get 2 phone calls, I'm taking this call. You guys are going to have to hold. It is what it is. All right, I should be back here. I really apologize, but I'm telling you, when you get 2 phone calls like that, it's important. And I know the radio station I listen to locally, 105, they answer the phones too, and that's regulated by the FAA, and they get paid by people. Well, they get paid by their advertisers, and I don't know. So I do want to apologize for that, but I hope you guys understand. Now, just back to this client for the 3rd time, that I really had to come down a little bit on the client and say, okay, listen, I get that it takes you time to go through the content that we've created, but you're paying us some good money, and it's now going to affect our results that we've expected, or that you should expect from us. How do you handle those situations? Well, we've got to come up with powwows and different ideas. We've got to start creating some video content, and maybe be a little heavier on the video content than the article content. Another suggestion was that, there's certain sources that he really likes and other sources that he just doesn't follow at all in terms of his philosophical views. And so and rather than the client going and having to work through all different contents of articles, we're having them go and find articles for us, and then, of course, we're going to rewrite the articles in our own dialect and our own words to have a little bit of a local flair to it and whatnot. So there are ideas. But I thought I'd share that. And now let's get to the items of the update this week. The Premium Agency Growth Group. We're going to be launching that first week of February. All that is I work with up to 5 students. It's not a cheap program. It's $5,000 for 3 months. And what it gives you is, well, there's a 3-hour training session every Monday morning. You get access to me via email, Skype, Facebook, throughout the week, and then I work one-on-one with you for a couple of, an hour or 2 on Fridays. There's a very structured itinerary with the Premium Agency Growth Group. You can go and check it out on the Local Marketing Source website. But there's a 12-week program with that, and I've gone over what it is. But if I recall, the first week we start working on all the tools, making sure that you've got, the right tools in place, that they're set up properly in place, that you've got a plan. We put your plan together. Week 2 through week 5, we start creating content for your agency. So that's, getting into website development, the structure of that. There's your book, there's your brochure, there's your keynote presentation. And there's different ways to do that. Just little elements like a book. People go, oh, shit, like how the hell am I going to write a book? Never written a book before. I know when I wrote my first one, I felt really, really proud. Well, here's just a little tidbit of information that a lot of local marketing source students have done in the past, is they create their keynote presentation. Somewhere you're looking at, 20 different slides in a PowerPoint presentation. I encourage people to practice that right in front of your mirror because believe it or not, the tonality, your physiology changes, and it comes through on the microphone. microphone. So if you're frowning or you're in a bad mood, it's pretty hard to cover that up on a microphone or a presentation. So you do your PowerPoint presentation, do it in front of a mirror, you record it. It typically runs about an hour. If it runs an hour, you get that webinar recording transcribed into a document. It's going to cost you about $60 through a site called Fiverr to get that length of a document, and that's going to translate into approximately 100 pages that are size 6 by 9. You pay somebody else another $30 to $60 to properly edit that transcript, so now you create your chapters and whatnot, and guess what? Boom. You now have your own book in a Word document that you can send up to CreateSpace.com, which is owned by Amazon, and they do printing on demand. It costs me $2.31 for every book that I print, and these are just free giveaways that you go. So, I mean, what is that, 3-4 hours of an investment to get a book, your own book? And it's just merely, you know, in the Premium Agency Growth Group, you know, we teach that it's trust, right? You know, you've got to get in the door to close these guys, and they're being solicited by Comcast, by the local newspaper companies, by other SEO firms that are out there. Johnny down the street that's got a computer, and the price points are $100 a month to $5,000 a month. We lie somewhere in the middle, you know, in terms of value that you're going to offer. The point being is that you have a printed book. You have instant credibility because most people do their advertising digitally, and we're just getting buried in digital advertisement. What else can I tell you about the Premium Agency Growth Group? Well, we've had students that have gone through it. You know, you can call them up. We can give you their names, and you can see the results that they've achieved through that. Guys like Charles continued to hire me for consulting, and you know, it's not cheap. Consulting's not cheap. It's, you know, I bill them out $140 an hour, which is the rate that you're going to pay in the Premium Agency Growth Group. But the value's there, and albeit you get access, you get a 12-month membership to Local Marketing Source at $100 a month for the membership. That's a $1,200 value right there, just that alone. Plus you get all the documents and access to me. But the real power, guys, comes into the group. And what we do is we do a video group chat every Monday, and people check in. And the objective is to create an element of accountability for yourself. And that's very difficult to do when you're on your own. But when you've got to be held accountable to your peers and your coach, you're much more off to get it done. And albeit it's a lot of work to go through the program, you get the results done. So if you've got any questions, just find me on Skype, Scott Gallagher 5, or email me, scottg@localmarketingsource.com. And I can give you my phone number as well. I just won't do that on the air right now, but either which one, you can do that. All right, moving into some updates for the week. Google is testing a website builder within Google My Business. Well, I mean, this comes as no surprise. And, you know, I kind of think of Google like two different types of strip malls. And you've got the strip malls that the landlords allow the businesses in the strip malls to put up any signs that they want, to put up the colors that they want. And so the strip mall takes on its own look. And even in America, more so than Canada, they're even more belligerent with colors like reds and yellows and putting different signs in. Then you've got the other strip malls that tend to have popped up in the last 20 to 30 years that are in more affluent communities. And the landlords are extremely restrictive of the business, so they utilize sometimes the same lettering for all the businesses that are on there. They're trying to maintain a consistent look and feel for these types of strip malls for the reasons that they have. Well, that's kind of what Google is doing for local businesses. And think of websites that are out there kind of like the old school strip malls that allowed businesses to do whatever they want. Some of them would get it. Some of them would just really smash their window, not smash their window, but really make their front windows look pretty tacky, just like a lot of websites that are out there. And the problem is every website's different. So when a user is looking for information for a local business, what are they looking for? Are you open? Where are you located? What types of directions? Do you have the product or the service that I want? Are people that buy that product or service, are they happy with that local business? There's not much else that people are looking for when they're looking for a local business. And all that information is typically found on a website, but in a lot of cases, you've got to navigate through the website pretty significantly. Well, over the last 3 years, that's what Google has been displaying for local businesses. The hours of operation, the click-to-call, so you can even have tracking with that. They've been testing removing the website link. It's been coming and going, coming and going. Well, why would Google remove the website link for a local business listing that's within the Google search engine? Because a lot of websites that are out there are really shitty. And if Google is sending its users to shitty websites and Yahoo isn't, well, that's one of the reasons why Google has got the market share that they have, is because they're so good at identifying the most relevant sites. They're what we call, TOS, TOS, time on site, is much higher for Google users than it is for Yahoo or Bing. So Google's very particular about trying to supply the information that a searcher is looking for. And it doesn't necessarily always mean a website. And so that's when Google My Business was ultimately rolled out, I think, 18 months ago. And it's got all that information that's prominent and prevalent right on their front of the SERP. So on that note, what is a website builder going to do? Most likely is it's going to bring consistency among sites that are out there in terms of usability or user navigation. A little bit of a confusion on words there. Usability is an extremely important factor for the ranking in the search engines. All right, Google is testing a new look for local inventory ads. It all comes down to real estate. And on mobile devices, the real estate above the fold is being tested to be entirely paid ads. That's going to hurt the local search engine optimization community. And that's fine. That's okay. It's never going to go away. It can't go away. You see, when Larry Page and Sergey Brin started Google, actually, I'll go all the way back. I like to tell this story every 3 or 4 months. And it was all the way back to 1996 that Sergey was in his 3rd year. Well, it'll go back even another year. Larry went to Stanford. He was checking it out, and he met Sergey. Sergey was in his 1st year at the time and was one of these people that take people around campus. And Larry liked Stanford University, so he decided to go. Well, Larry and Sergey were now in 1st and 2nd year, and they became friends. Well, when Larry became 3rd year and Larry was 2nd, Sergey was 3rd, they had to do a year thesis, and they both had to do something, and so they decided that they were going to work together. And they recognized that the information out on this behemoth of an internet, it was very difficult to find information. Now, Larry's father is a scientist, and one thing that Larry noticed was that every time his father was published, his authority as a scientist would go up. Well, when somebody took and cited that publication, a citation, his authority as a scientist would go up. People would trust him more. He was much bigger in his little world of a scientist. And he recognized that web pages were essentially the same thing, that a link from one website to another website is merely an endorsement of that website. And therefore, the first Google algorithm was born based off of link count. And I can remember even all the way now, we're going 9 years later, 2005, that I could sneeze at getting 1,000 links to a website and have it ranked within a week, number one. We had some pretty impressive sites ranking it at different times. But that's ultimately how the Google algorithm was essentially formed. And when Google received their first investments. Well, they tried to sell their algorithms to both Microsoft and Yahoo, and they both turned them down. I mean, kind of ironic. Google is the fastest growing company on the planet. They're bigger than Microsoft now, and but Yahoo wouldn't buy the algorithm for $1 million. And the CEO of Sun Microsystems recognized this opportunity, and they went out for breakfast at Burger King, and he said, "Hey, well, I'm ready to write you a check. How much you want me to write the check for?" And they said, $50,000. And the CEO laughed and said, "No, that's not enough money. You guys need more money than that." So they ended up getting $100,000 that day, and they said, "Who are we going to write the check out to?" Well, they didn't have a company at the time, and their algorithm was called a Google bot, and Google is the number one followed by 100 zeros. It's a mathematical equation, and so they were like, "Well, let's just call the company Google," and so he wrote the check out to Google Inc. Well, they weren't even an incorporated business yet, so that day they had to go, and that's when Google was formed, and it was incorporated so they could cash the check and start their business out of their garage, which is actually in their dorm for a while. Then they ended up buying a garage when they got that money. Now, Larry and Sergey are two men that I've studied extensively, along with Mark Zuckerberg and a lot of those elites that I've read about, whether it's Amazon, Jeff Bezos, or especially guys like Steve Jobs and all that. They're just good people to know who they are as people. And I'll tell you that the two guys that are running Google are extremely different than the guy that's running Facebook. Very, very different philosophical views and whatnot. And one of Google's biggest mantras is, do no evil. Well, they didn't want to clutter their search engine results page like Yahoo and back then Microsoft and some of the other search engines had done, and they've cluttered it with a variety of advertising. And then they finally compromised. They had all this money, and 5 years later, Google had not made a single penny yet in 2001, and their shareholders were, private shareholders. They went public back then. You got to make money, guys. And the one thing that they didn't want to do was have ads on their search engine results page. But then they compromised having what are called text-based ads, and that's when AdWords was born. And interestingly, the industry scrutinized the heck out of these guys. Nobody said it would work. Well, the rest is history. 3 years later, they had their IPO, and that's it. Google is now the fastest growing company in history and the biggest company on the planet. Maybe not today, but at least even last year they were. So the reason why Google, or Larry and Sergey, did not want to put these ads on their search engine results page was because it was going to deter the user experience. So they were focused entirely on the user first. Everything that's centered around Google's success is centered around the users. And more recently, we're seeing more and more real estate being used by ads. However, the bottom line is if you remember a part of this story, the first 5 years of Google was because Google's best product is their organic algorithm. It's that simple. If we knew their algorithm inside and out, then they wouldn't have the competitive advantage. And that's everything about Google. Everything is about their algorithm and user experience. And if they give the wrong content or have a poor user experience to individuals, then people are going to go choose other search engines. So it's really near and dear to their heart. That they focus in specifically on the user and get that information. Now, in regards to local businesses and where I'm going with all this is that the website builder, I haven't had an opportunity to see it. I've just been reading about it. I'll probably go home and play with it tonight. And I have a feeling it's going to be very restrictive. And I have a feeling that what it's going to do is create a lot of websites that have the same look and feel, just like those strip malls that I was referring to. All right, moving on. I was saying Google testing a new look for local inventory in the local pack. Oh yeah, I was talking about the 3 positions. That's why I went on my whole tangent. I already moved on to the second article of discussion, and I don't think that we're going to see much more real estate taken away by local ads. They already seem to be pushing the limits, and Google still wants users to utilize their just their Google My Business listings. And then lastly, I just thought I would throw a little bit of new education that's out there in regards to some ideas on how to build links without creating content. And I'm going to give you 5 little ways and then talk a little bit about them. And those 5 ways are going to be mentions, directories, partnerships, community involvement, and testimonials. Now, you know, a business mention or a business citation, there's a lot of ways to get mentioned in different ways, whether it be an article or I guess a press release would be considered, you know, creating content or whatnot. But volunteer work, you know, Scott Gallagher from One Marketing was out helping pushing boxes around, whatever. Directories, you know, that's a part of the, you know, profiles, the profile strategy. We teach that. There's 6 different videos in the portal in regards to directories and whatnot, but it's not necessarily content. Partnerships. If you're a partner with another business that's out there, you know, they do some cross-linking back and forth. And there's a lot of different ways to talk about the partnerships. Now, this is what I really like, is community involvement. And this one's far too often missed by local businesses. My clients, when they sign with me, I say, hey, you've got to throw $100 a month, or sorry, $100 a quarter into a local charity. If you don't, then how can I write about how good you are to the local community and get press releases in a local newspaper in regards to that? You know, whether you're hosting an event with the local Chamber of Commerce or different events like that. Get some community involvement. And then finally, testimonials. Well, testimonials, reviews, they're just a digital form of word-of-mouth marketing, which has been the best marketing in existence since, well before I was born. And well before our newest member. I just wanted to make an announcement, and let me get over to the local marketing source page here. I want to welcome John Fink. And if you haven't been into the private LMS group, get in there. John's story is pretty awesome. And John he just joined last night and introduced himself in the group today. And John is a 76-year-old stage 4 cancer survivor. He was declared permanently and totally disabled, but he's not. And so he built a website called askacancersurvivor.com, and he's been an entrepreneur his whole entire life for 66 years. So, you know, he makes a couple of jokes and says, hey, I'm not ready for the wheelchair, and goes on to say, you know, his current income's about $1,000 a month, and it's hard to live off of. So I think it's, I just think it's so awesome. I hope I have that inspiration at 76 years old. I hope I feel that way. It's pretty cool. So I just want to welcome you, John. Thank you for giving Local Marketing Source the opportunity. That's it, guys. Let's see if there's any questions that are typed out. That's no questions typed out. Nobody that's got their hands up yet. I'll give it 30 seconds, and I'll be back and answer any questions you might have. All right, well, that's it, guys. Have yourself a great week, and look forward to speaking with you next week. Bye for now.
Well, thanks for watching the Local Marketing Industry Update. We've got these things coming out every single week, so if you liked with what you heard, just click the button right above me right here to subscribe to our channel. If you'd like to get a little bit more, right over here, go check out localmarketingsource.com. We've got free reports that you can grab. You can even register for a free marketing course to get in and see the portal. Or just go ahead and follow us on some of the social channels. We'll be around. Until next time.